Hello and welcome to Channel 2S, your home for Gunpla news and reviews. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and today we're looking at the completed high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans Rouei. And because my main tripod is still out of commission, this entire review will be shot with a little bendy tabletop tripod and lots of handheld camera movement, because that's what makes this professional, right? Trust me, it hurts me as much as it hurts you. So as always, we're going to be kicking this review off with a look at the visuals of the Rouei, and what can I say here, the Rouei just looks absolutely awesome. It's just a great looking design. There's tons of cool things going on with it. I really like that giant back skirt. It actually makes this kit look and feel a lot like the Dom from the Universal Century timeline. And of course she's got those big old shoulder thrusters, which are looking pretty fantastic. And while it is true that these light blue sections on the top are stickers, they do wrap around pretty well, hold down decently, and overall I am not too bothered with them. The rest of the stickerage on this model is pretty light. It mostly consists of all these little yellow sections you're seeing along the chest, shoulders, and head. And then also these two light blue sections on the top of the thighs, which, like with the back thrusters, look a lot better than you might expect. When it comes to articulation, the Rouei can look up this far, and down this far for a pretty great range of head movement. It can rotate to the side about to here before it collides with the collar parts. The backpack thrusters have this much range. And you do have to be careful when you're moving them around, because it's very easy to, as you're moving them around, just completely rotate them out of that little C-clip they sit in, but fortunately it is pretty easy to clip them back in, so while they don't really hold in place all that well, it's an easy enough problem to fix if they do decide to pop out. Also, there's a hinge right here that allows the bottom flap to come all the way down to here. They've also got a pretty great range of side-to-side movements, so you can get all sorts of poses out of these guys. A combination ball joint and hinge allow the arm to come up about 90 degrees. And beyond the shoulder there is a full bicep swivel and a 180 degree elbow bend. Then the wrist is the usual high-grade ball jointery, and then there's also of course that ball joint up the shoulder, which means you can get his arm to rotate like this. And then he also uses those high-grade swing-out polycaps, which means you can also get the arm forwards and across the chest if that's something you want to do. It's also worth noting that if you're rotating the bicep, I do recommend grabbing it by the bicep and rotating it, and not trying to rotate it by the lower arm, because that's a very good way to pry apart this elbow construction right here. Tipping and tilting movement in the torso is pretty much non-existent, but there is this a? Yes, it is in fact a 360 degree waist rotation, so that's pretty good. The side skirts can come out to here and can also be pushed down to here, although generally you do want to keep them more up like this, just so that it doesn't break up the sculpt of the skirt armor right here. But with the skirt armor out of the way, you can get the legs out a full 180 degree split. The hips themselves are on a swinging joint that allows them to go from side to side. Front to back range is pretty great. And then below the hip we have a 360 degree thigh rotation, and then a double jointed knee that does not get the leg a full 180 degrees, but it gets it far enough considering how bulky this kit's leg armor is. And then below that, there is a double joint mechanism for the foot that gives you a lot of options. You can bring it really far forwards, kind of like on the high-grade GM ground type, although not to the same extent. Then it's got a lot of ankle tilt, which is great for a kit like this, since this kit did lots of ground hovering poses. That means you can get lots of wide stances out of this guy. Low, wide stances, that's kind of the thing for the Rouei, so it's nice that this guy's feet can pull that off. But surprisingly enough, there is actually no rotation for the foot. This is a little bit weird, but I'm actually not that bothered by it, since I never really use foot rotation anyways. And while we're down here, this is what the bottom of the kit's feet look like. But of course, all that articulation isn't of much use unless this guy comes with some pretty awesome weapons, and fortunately, this guy delivers on all fronts. So for starters, we have this really cool looking mace that looks like it could just easily smash through the armor of any mobile suit the Rouei comes across. And then for more distant enemies, we get a nice little automatic pistol. It looks very cool, and I do like this weapon quite a lot. And according to the instruction manual, that's actually all the weapons this kit is supposed to come with. However, because this kit is a retool of the high-grade Hyakuren, you get all these extra goodies. So the first of the leftover Hyakuren weapons is the shotgun with its very awesome extended magazine. It looks great in the kit's hands, and I actually prefer this over the handgun the kit's supposed to come with, so I'm pretty glad they kept this thing on the runners. And then you get this pretty great looking sword. Now you might be saying, I don't know, Second, this doesn't look like a sword, what are you talking about? Well, that's because you have to do this. That's right guys, this isn't just a sword, this is a sword with a sheath. And once you have that sheath off, the sword looks pretty awesome, although it would look even cooler if you painted that blade in chrome silver. And if I had to make one complaint about this guy's weapons, it would be the fact that the sword handle is round, which means that can happen very, very easily. And actually the handle on the mace is round as well, but since this weapon is much more symmetrical and non-side specific than the sword, it's not really as noticeable. Regardless, I still would have liked to have seen a little tab on the side of the sword to kind of peg into his hand, similar to what they did with the Helmvigo Rheinkar, just to give this guy a little more stability. And if you want that sword to have somewhere to go, you can actually lift up this little clasp back here, grab onto the sheath, and then you can just plug it over that little tab, stick it down there. And now the sword's on his back, nice and securely. There is no chance of this thing coming off. And to further the cool factor, the handgun and the mace have those same little rectangular holes on them, which means that any of these 3 weapons can be stored on him. Unfortunately, there is no such connector on the shotgun. And now to further the awesomeness even more, there is a couple more goodies left on the runner for the Hyakuren, and that is this pair of boxing gloves / brass knuckles / punching armor pieces, whatever you want to call these things. They're pretty awesome. There's these little handle pieces that go inside the hands, and then you kind of slide the gloves over them, and they look great. The only real downside of these is that they're a little bit loose, and they also don't have anywhere to go when he's not using them, since the side skirts of this kit can be retooled, so you can no longer just kind of pop them on down there. But really, the lack of weapon storage for the knuckles and the shotgun is really minor, considering this guy is basically the only IBO kit that comes with more than enough weapons. And I'm not even going to complain about the lack of alternate hands, because you have basically no excuse to ever display this guy without a weapon in each hand. He's got more than enough awesome weapons to appeal to all your different combat needs. And it looks so freaking awesome with every single one of them. And since I forgot to bring it up earlier, I'm going to just say it right now. The colors they chose for this kit are absolutely phenomenal. The dark blue and the light blue look great together. The light gray and the dark gray look great. And my favorite part of it is that really dark military green they used for the arms and some parts of the chest. This, coupled with the little splashes of yellow caused by the stickers and those little gold foil stickers inside of the eyes that look also just as awesome, give this guy possibly one of my favorite color schemes out of all of the Iron-Blooded Orphans models. So with everything I've said about the high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans Rouei up until this point, it should come as no surprise to you when I say that this kit is a very solid thumbs up. It will be an awesome addition to your IBO collection, and even if you don't have a lot of other IBO kits, I still recommend this because it's all around a really fun model with a bunch of display options, and it looks freaking awesome. And that's really all I can say about the Rouei, so I'm just going to end it right here. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed it. And if you're new to Channel 2S, I do all sorts of stuff here, from Gunpla news, to reviews, to unboxings, to builds, and everything in between. So if that sounds cool to you, be sure to subscribe right about now, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, because I also do live streams sometimes, and you don't want to miss that. And finally, don't forget to share this video with your friends in the Gunpla community to show them just how awesome the high-grade Rouei is and why they should totally pick one up. And it also helps spread the word about this channel and helps it grow. That's always a good thing. It helps me, it helps you, it helps everyone. So just go ahead and give this video a share. And as always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time.